Security in this sector, foreigners who live a little on the outskirts, they've been robbed, killed in the assault. It actually happened in the last 2 years. I think it's happened about, 30 to 40 times, the danger. So here we have several news stations have interviewed cyber fraudster Carl Marsan, a Vilcabamba resident since 2012. Carl forgets about years and years of violent crimes against economic migrants because they don't fit into their real estate confidence scam. So here we have an August 12, 2012, Paradise Lost. Lots of people get robbed at Vilcabamba. Actually, to be more specific, lots of foreigners who have moved to Vilcabamba have been robbed. There have been rapes and robberies at gunpoint. There have been raided houses and invaded houses. The story is that professional group gangs from the relatively nearby city of Loja are targeting wealthy foreigners who are moving into the Sacred Valley, and the local police are in on it with the professional gangs. Some of the settling foreigners have been frightened of moving away. Others have now formed a kind of gringo security patrol. With walkie-talkies and organized assignments, the group checks on each other's property. Is this a battle for control of paradise? August 12, 2014, Vilcabamba home invasion, robbery, and kidnapping. There were 2 Ecuadorian kidnappers. One told her, in Spanish, to not scream as he dragged her to the guest room to view that Adrian was lying on the floor, hand and foot bound. Her husband had his hands and feet duct taped and put into a bedroom. She fought back as the Ecuadorian men duct taped her eyes and mouth. The 2 men dragged her into the SUV and threw her into the back seat. As she struggled, they slammed her foot into the door, breaking a bone. Adrian told her to please cooperate as they had a gun pointed at him and he was to drive the vehicle. It's February 25, 2016, Vilcabamba, Ecuador, Uptick. Crime lurks in southeastern parishes. Reported that expats and foreigners are being targets. Yesterday, a group of expats met with authorities calling for security and police. Monday night, February 22, 2016, another assault was reported in the parish Vilcabamba neighborhood of San Joaquin, leaving a seriously injured person because the shots made criminals enter his home, which again highlighted the uncertainty that exists in this area and the viciousness being committed these acts. Therefore, residents of Vilcabamba and Malacatos and parishes were scheduled to meet yesterday with Johanna Ortiz, governor, and the mayor, Jose Bolivar Castillo, to apply a more effective safeguard measures. They also asked for quick and effective justice of the assailants. They expressed their concerns because the experience to date has not been good. So this governor, Johanna Ortiz, we're going to see that she's still the governor in Loja. They just had a meeting with her. And so round and round we go. So this is May 28th, 2016, and Expat explains why she pulled up stakes in Vilcabamba and returned to the U.S. Underlying our decision was the alarming escalation of violent crimes against gringos in Vilcabamba and a growing awareness that, although the money and job opportunities expats bring to the country are welcomed, extranjeros are generally not well liked in Ecuador. So 2019 information, friends leaving due to high crime. Hello fellow expats who live in Ecuador. We had done our homework, chatted with people on forums, etc. And still, after living here for a couple of years, we are astounded to find that crime is still avoided as the topic when it should be number 1. We have lived outside Vilca, we have lived in Souk in the Orient, and did live in Vilcabamba until the very violent home invasions became too much, and we moved out into the mountains. At this time, we still hear of roughly 3 to 4 invasions on average a week in Vilca when we go for coffee with friends and hear that no one was beaten senseless or had razor blades used on them. We count it as a great day. A week ago, I went to Vilca for supplies and found people buying food for the latest victim. He was an older man in his home, beaten senseless the night before. Here's a YouTuber, our retire early lifestyle. So on February 14, 2021, they have a video, expats, gringas drugged, raped, and murdered in Vilcabamba at a hostel for a decade. And so, interesting information, all this stuff would never be documented by the local police. So for those of us that have lived in Vilcabamba and attended gringo-generated security meetings, police meetings, and the never-ending creation of more private security groups, this is all a wash, rinse, and repeat. It's Groundhog Day gone bad. In some local police meetings, the police have their hands extended and need new tires and gas for the patrol car. Guess who's paying up? The kicker is the local police committed home invasions themselves. They don't take police reports. The 2023 installed 5G cameras are under the surveillance of the National Police in Loja. So those cameras in town that were just installed are not being monitored by the police in Vilcabamba. We have years of violent crimes, rapes, murder, mayhem, and grand thefts that all fall into the abyss. The police may ask for $500 to investigate as they laugh behind our backs. The recent arrival of 4 national police requires that the community house and feed them. The National Police's current pastime is to harass Europeans in the village square for their passport while ignoring a group of Venezuelans nearby. Recent meetings with the National Police showed new cops telling the audience, "We're new, we're clueless," and they appeared robotic and detached. They want to collate all information on foreigners, including ID numbers, phone numbers, and residential addresses. The National Police, like the local police, are no more trustworthy than the judiciary or any lawyers or anybody you're going to count on there. So Peace March, too little, too late? Is this just selective criminal enforcement? I'm sorry, but what criminals are the batch of elected officials going after, and how far out there do they have to look? Are homegrown criminals still being protected? Do Jose and Pablo Abad and their criminal taxi racket qualify? What about Marco Leon and the Shangri-La real estate ruthless fraud? Does judicial bribery qualify? On the Peace March, leaders from Vilcabamba, San Pedro, and others assembled outside the church in a decades-plus-long echo chamber to say what they will never do. They need to clean their houses and those around them. Vilcabamba's plague of criminality is internal. So check out these peace flyers. The flyer depicts the reality of Vilcabamba and really Ecuador, and that boot on your neck are the local criminals, the politicians, the lawyers, judges, police, contractors. Anybody you're going to engage in that's Ecuadorian has the ability to put that boot on your neck. So why do the Ecuadorians now care? I mean, really, this Peace March, it's simple. As long as the financial well-being isn't affected by the crime, they have no problem with the blood and financial letting of economic migrants. It's been happening for decades, and it's an intergenerational cultural activity. Rob and kill the gringos, often involving families. So what's changed? The economic migrant money flow is now dribbling in. The shopkeepers and restaurants are suffering. Walking through Vilcabamba on many days, the place has a post-apocalyptic vibe. It's as if the Ecuadorians just awoke from a dream, and suddenly foreigners have value. The only thing that would get their Ecuadorian asses off their chairs is money. Herberto's meeting with Johanna Ortiz, the Loja governor, a day after the Peace March, is a laugh-out-loud, typical Ecuadorian shit show. This is the same governor from 2016, the security meeting. The Peace March is an optical illusion that influences others to consider that Vilcabamba's safety will improve. Governor Ortiz is compromised. Ortiz has known of the endless criminality in the Vilcabamba region and has consistently done nothing. The governor then enters into criminality by abandoning the elected sworn position. Ortiz appears to hold 2 elected positions, and I don't know if it comes with 2 paychecks, but she appears to be an assembly member and a governor, which seems very odd to us. So, look, the governor can't touch Espinosa Ramirez and Ruin in Loja. This law firm is a conduit for judicial bribery that conceals massive real estate fraud. Public officials offer hopium with endless shovels of donkey shit. So, here we have Carl Marsan, a cyber fraud perpetrator. He interviews Herberto, the pharmacist. Can it get any more ridiculous? Does Herberto not know the endless stories about abundant living Ecuador or Marco Leon Shangri-La real estate crimes? So this is Herberto's takeaway after the meeting with the compromised governor, Johanna Ortiz. So Ortiz, being the brilliant politician she is with a couple of masters. They got to have those masters, right? So her first point was to bring in more police. And of course, we can see that as a disaster, right? Because we're feeding the national police, we're housing them. The police are involved with the criminality. You just can't get away from that. It's just the way it is. Their second idea, the governor's second idea, is to bring an armed military in the late morning to do road checks or whatever. Again, there's just a couple of roads. There's one main road that leaves Vilcabamba and exits it. There's major internal roads that could be, there could be checkpoints that would shut down everything going on, but they're not going to do that. So the governor really is an idiot. I mean, you have to wonder. In fact, I'll probably send her an email. But her third idea is to designate taxi drivers as safe drivers with a sticker. And of course, we have Jose and Pablo Abad involved in a major criminal taxi racket. We've got the taxis at every criminal home invasion. We've got them being loaded up again and again, load after load, hour after hour, driving to wherever they're driving. We believe they may be selling some of the goods at a place in Loja and open market. So this is just outrageous that the governor's such an idiot. So the governor's last brilliant idea was to have a local prosecutor's office, and of course that would be riddled with bribery, and that would be completely non-functional because it just wouldn't work. They just don't give a shit. I mean, we just have to realize that. So what gives, Carl Marsan? Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm over here, Carl. How much longer can you play this fraud? You still have time to report the scam and avoid serious prison time. Jesse in Haiti will toss you in today's trash in a heartbeat. Wake up, man. Do you have no friends around who can open your eyes? Can you confide in your father? You are no longer stealing food from Matt Monarch. You're part of an international fraud scheme. So yeah, it's too little too late. Criminality comes in many forms in Vilcabamba. The most damaging and dangerous criminals aren't on the radar. They're embedded in the province. The channel's security recommendations to Johanna Ortiz, the Loja governor. Ortiz, you have yet to act since 2016. The governor's current undocumented plan is an affront to all who seek safety, security, and the non-functioning criminal justice system that has kept you in office. Take down Abundant Living Ecuador, obviously take down Shangri-La and the tentacles, the notaries and the lawyers that are connected. We've got Mozilla Houston Lenoff in a major fraud rip-off tax scheme as a 13%er from the U.S. Let's take her out, the Grifters Food Bank and Resale Shop, and obviously criminal taxi drivers, Satan, also known as Jose and Pablo Abad. And there would be a lot of other taxi drivers. There'd be CCTV footage of them doing these rip-offs somewhere. It's got to be somewhere. Anyway, clean your own house for fuck's sake.